Sir David Attenborough has gained worldwide praise and attention. During Sunday night's episode, the title, Green Seas, was trending globally on Twitter. The programme focused on the seagrass meadows, which provide shelter and food for a range of marine life.
A marine forest has materialised, teeming with life of all kinds. These green seas are some of the most productive but fiercely competitive waters in all the oceans.
Well, Dr. Richard Unsworth from Swansea University in the UK has recently carried out research underlining the importance of seagrass for fishing.
Seagrasses are the world's only marine flowering plants. They form extensive meadows under the sea. And this evening, on what was an incredible episode of Blue Planet 2, we observed how amazing seagrasses really are and how they support some of the world's most charismatic marine animals. We also really discovered how seagrasses really are the powerhouses of our oceans. I highlighted how they absorb more carbon dioxide from the atmosphere than even the most productive rainforests. This highlights how they play a critical role in regulating our climate.
And we've seen the issue of plastics in the oceans and other environmental issues brought to the fore by this programme, which has been hugely popular not only here in the UK but around the world as well. What effect do you think the focus on seagrasses will have? Because I imagine it's not something most of us think particularly closely about.
It's a fantastic chance to highlight their importance because they really are a critically important habitat that doesn't really hit the conservation agenda. People don't really know what they are, but they're incredibly important. People have described them in the past as being the ugly duckling of marine conservation. But I guess our research that we published last week is kind of going beyond some of the things that were discussed in the Blue Planet tonight. Our research has highlighted how seagrass meadows around the world are targeted as key fishing grounds. So what we're finding is that wherever seagrass exists in proximity to people are specifically targeting those habitats for fishing. The reason that that's of critical importance is that in many developing countries around the world, this fishing activity is a major supply of food and livelihood for many hundreds of millions of people. In those developing countries, it's about daily supply of protein. Governments and conservation organisations really need to up the ante with respect to conservation of seagrasses.
And how urgent is that? Because you mentioned the focus of fishing on seagrass meadows. Is there a danger that they're unable to sustain the level of fishing that's happening in some cases?
Yes, we're actually documented in many parts of the world where the fisheries have remained unmanaged for a long, long time. And there are very few of those kind of charismatic animals that we saw in Blue Planet actually left in the seagrass. So in places such as Myanmar, Cambodia, we've observed seagrasses that are virtually devoid of any life. But when we go to remote and protected seagrasses, we see an abundance of fish life that has the potential to sustain human livelihoods.
Dr. Richard Unsworth from Swansea University here in the UK, ending this edition of The Newsroom from the BBC World Service.